Hey gang, good morning. It is 8:30. It's time for Kasky Live. Am my audio working today? Yeah, looks like it is. Well, today we're going to talk about mindset, and it is my birthday. I will admit, I know some of you have wished me a happy birthday already on LinkedIn and some of the other platforms, and thank you very much. I've already had my free Starbucks today, and I appreciate it. So, what we're going to do on my birthday is talk about my favorite topic because it is my birthday, and that is the role your mind plays and my mind plays in our success. And we're not going to go way esoteric on this, but I do have three proper mindsets that I think we all need to have if we are to rapidly and radically grow our business. So this is not about what I need to say when I get in front of a person or how to negotiate a better deal or how to motivate my sales team. This is personal. It's very personal. And I think what I'm about to share really applies whether you're a CEO, a VP of sales, a sales professional, uh, you know, a sales manager, regional sales man. It all applies. So I want to go through these. Before we do, I want to acknowledge that we are brought to you every every day actually by a program called the $1 Million Seller. It answers the question, how do I scale my income effectively without burning myself out? It's a 12-week course that we opened about a month ago, a little bit less than a month ago. I'd love for you to take a look. You can go to billcaskey.com/$1 Million Seller. If you're someone that has some big goals for this year and beyond and don't want to grind yourself to death working on them, this program is right for you. It teaches you the concept of leverage. I instruct you on how to take leverage and maximization and use it in your world. So if you're interested, go to billcaskey.com/$1 Million Seller. Okay. I was with a group of high achievers yesterday. And by the way, you're welcome to comment if you so inclined. I was with a group of high achievers yesterday, and we were talking about how to control the sales process or the negotiation process or the launch process. Control processes was really the topic. And one of the guys who is has been around my program for a while and really a high performer and has a sales team said, Bill, you taught me this 14 years ago when I first started listening to you. It's all about the mind. It's all about how we think. Because the right actions will come, the right words will come, or it'll all be organic if we can just get our mind right. And he works with it. He has a sales team of 7, 8 people. Some of them are new in sales, some of them aren't. And he says that's my biggest challenge is getting people to think correctly. So, and all the other guys in the group agreed that that's where we wanted to go. So we spent the next 45 minutes on how do we get our minds right? Because even if you're a highly paid professional, a high impact player, you still, and I still have a tendency to default back to old thinking. That old thinking is so wired in that it's once we get past it, we're not clear of it. It will drag us right back. And so I want to give you three things today that I think you should be doing. I should be doing. Again, as I always say on these lives, this is as much about me talking into the camera to see me as it is me talking to you. So this is something we all need to be focused on and aware of. So here's number one. And you've heard me say this before. I am the guide. I'm the guy. I'm the guide. GUIDE. Everybody talks about leadership. I talk about guidership. It's a weird word, actually. Actually, I'll stop talking about that. That's too weird a word. But the point there is that you're a guide on a journey. You're a guide on your own journey, and you're a guide on other people's journeys too. You're a guide on your prospect's journey. They're trying to get from where they are to where they want to be. Who best to figure out how to get there than you? You're the guide. I want us to get out of this salesperson role and convincer role and persuader role and get into the guide role. It's going to be much more beneficial from you. So as we start to change our mind from seller to guide, some things have to go. Guides don't convince you to go on the journey up the mountain. A guide should not convince you. What a guide does is say, do you want to go up the top of the mountain? Person says yes. Follow me. I'll teach you how to get there. I'll help you. but here's some dangers along the mountain. Here's some things you have to look for, and you have to follow my lead and don't get off track. That's what a great salesperson does. But don't do it from the context of convincing. Do it from the context of guiding. So, if we were to pick the number one mindset to have today, I think you change your mindset from selling to guiding. All right. So that's number one. Number two, your personal brand is your macro distinguisher. It's the thing that distinguishes you from all other people in the world, in the marketplace. So when you think about this, you have let's say you have a territory, or you have a patch, or whatever you want to call it. You have a place where you operate. Maybe it's a state, maybe it's territory, maybe it's the world. But the point is that you want to create a brand presence in that world that shares with your audience what you do, how you do it, the kind of work you do. Uh, this is a matter of sharing some content, maybe some video, maybe some audio, maybe some written. But forget about that for a second. Just say you have to embrace this attitude that I am my own brand. And so few people do this. And those that do it well, prosper, because it's the difference maker. It's the difference maker between you and the four competitors that you're dealing with or talking with. If you have developed your personal brand and brand presence, and you actually put things out in the marketplace and allow people to sample your work, that's going to make a huge difference. Whenever someone calls me or reaches out on LinkedIn and says, "Hey, I need some help. I'm in the process of finding a new job." That's not what I do. I don't do career consulting, nor do I want to. That's just not what I do. But I will say, how's your brand? How's your brand? What's your brand like? Well, I have a LinkedIn page. That's not your brand. That's not your brand at all. You have a LinkedIn page with a profile that some AI bot wrote. That's your brand. That's the best you can do. Have you published anything on LinkedIn? Do you have any videos you're linking to? What about your feature section? Can anybody get to know you a little bit by looking at your feature section on LinkedIn? People go to LinkedIn. I know some of you think that, oh, LinkedIn is just, it's just for job seekers. No, it's actually not. When you search on somebody on Google, their LinkedIn profile will come up. So this day and age of LinkedIn is my people aren't on LinkedIn. Yeah, okay. You can keep believing that. It's just not true, though. Comment if you disagree with that. Comment in the comment section below. Love to hear from you. Except if you disagree, then I don't want to hear from you. No, I'm just kidding. So personal brand is the key to you distinguishing yourself in the marketplace. And the reason you don't do it, and I don't do it enough, although I do a little bit of it, I like to say that I'm kind of dabbling in it. But the reason you don't do it enough is because you're self-conscious. That's all. Just get past that and everything else will work out for itself. So you got to have a personal brand. Number 3, mindset 3 is my income is directly proportionate to the value I bring. My income is directly proportionate to the value I bring. It's not proportionate to the product I sell. It's proportionate to the value I bring as a representative of that product. I was heading back from a game last night here in town, and the guy I was going with is an attorney, and he had a guy on the phone who owns a lot of car dealerships around the country. And we got down to the end, and I didn't know him. He didn't know me. He knew I was in the car listening to their conversation. But at the end, I said, "Hey, Bob, uh, I'm going to ask Robert here, my attorney friend, for your number. I'd like to send you a book." He goes, "Oh, great. What is it?" I told him what it was. I've got a new book that I haven't released just yet, but I told him a little bit about it. I'll share it with you probably next week. And he goes, "Oh, that would be great." He goes, "If I like it, I'll buy it for all of my sales team," which there's probably has 500 to 700 salespeople all across the country and maybe North America. But I look at that and say, well, how can I bring him value? Not how can I sell him books, because I was thinking, I bet he struggles in his sales with his sales team about these things. I know what business he's in, and they do struggle with those things. And he may not know he's struggling, but if I can put something in his hands that will shine the light on this struggle and say, oh my gosh, we could fix that just by having, Bill into train or this book or whatever, then I'm bringing value to him. I bring a lot more value to a 750 team sales force than I do to one person. And I know that you'll say, well, but that one person, yeah, and I'm good with working with one person. But in the scope of value, and if you say your income is tied to your value, which is my presupposition here, then the bigger account, the more value you bring. Not the bigger account, the more money you make. That will come second. It's the bigger account, the more money the more value you bring. So those are the first three. So I am the guide. Excuse me. I am the guide. This coffee, this milk screws me up. I have to stop doing this. Number two is my personal brand is my distinguisher. That's the thing that's unique about me. So you need to get it out there. And third is the idea that your income is directly tied to the value you bring. These three things should be a part of every sales meeting. If you're in a sales team that has a sales leader, sales manager, CEO that leads sales meetings, if these three things are not part of every one of your sales meetings, and I've got 10 more here that I'll share with you over time. And these are all things that we talk about in the $1 Million Seller. And I know I talked about that a little bit earlier. But if your sales team, or if you're a sales leader and you're not talking about these things, shame on you. What else is there besides mindset work? If I was a sales leader today, I would walk into my sales team and I would say this. I would say, how many of you in the past week have done anything to build your personal brand in the marketplace? How many of you in the last week have done anything? I'd like to know what it is because I want us all to learn. Not one of your people will raise their hand, or they will raise their hand with some lame thing like, well, I made 4 calls last week. That's not building your personal brand. That's making calls last week. What are you doing to build your personal brand? Then I would say, I thought you guys wanted to grow your business. I thought you guys wanted to raise your income and bring in more revenue. I thought that's what, when we did our annual review here recently, I thought that's what you all said. And not one of you has done anything to build your personal brand, which is the thing that distinguishes you from all of your competitors that you say you hate. I'm confused. Help me work this out in my own mind. You say you want to do this, but you haven't done anything there. Now, I'll roll for a second. I know that some of them are going to say, but manager, Mr. Leader, Ms. Leader, you haven't told us how to do that. Okay. Why aren't you figuring it out on your own? Why is everything up to me to figure out? Are you not looking at YouTube for ideas and hacks on how to grow your business, and that's coming up? So you're not doing anything outside of me bringing an idea to you. Is that what I'm hearing? If that's what you hear, you better be replacing some people. Because the killer companies today, the people who are the high impact players, they are all doing these things. And if you're not, you are being left behind. And you may not even feel like you're being left behind. And one day you're behind. I can't snap very well. One day you're behind. So implement these three things. I'll talk about some more next week. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. Let me check out the comments really quickly. I just made a connection and set a meeting via LinkedIn this morning. Awesome. I want your book too. Can't wait to hear about it. Oh, thanks, Bridget. I appreciate you. I always do, always have. Yeah, I'll share the book with you next week. And it's a short book. Can you see it here? Oh, I think you might have been able to see it. It's a short book. It's like a 30-page book, and it just highlights 12 things that I think if you do these 12 things, life is going to change for you. And so it's not a 500-page book you have to sift through and it takes you 10 hours to read, and you get to page 27 and then jettison. Do you know that the average book is read 27 pages? Do you know that? The average book, the first 27 pages are read. That's when people stop. Average. Now I know, it's different for you. 27 pages. So if you're going to write a book, Why don't you just make it 27 pages? That's what I should call. That's what I should call it. The 27-page book, because nobody reads any further anyway. So might as well make it 27 pages. In fact, ours is about 30, so it's pretty close to 27. I got to figure out a way to market that, use that. Hey, everybody, I really enjoyed today, and again, once again, thank you for the birthday wishes. Um, I would love you to love you. I love you anyway, but I'd love it if you looked up the Million Dollar Seller Program if you're interested in those kinds of things. It's a combination digital coaching. We got a coaching session today, actually at noon, where I answer questions and we can look at your videos. We can look at your content. It's anything goes in these coaching sessions, except therapy. Except marriage therapy does not go in these, but everything else does. Million Dollar Seller. Check it out soon. I will see you next.